they need and they earn from the Social Security Administration because they just don't know how the program works and they don't realize they can get this benefit and that benefit together. So we're going to talk about that today. If you're currently receiving disability, we're going to talk about how you might be able to get retirement benefits, different categories of retirement benefits for Social Security. It's just not traditional retirement as you think. We're also talking about spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, independently entitled divorce spouse benefits, all the rest of it. So we're going to talk about that today. And if you're thinking about filing for retirement or disability, we're also going to talk about that in the sense of it's called a Rib-dib. You can actually file for both benefits at the same time. So I'm also looking at, looks like we got about 5 or 6 questions that people sent in on video questions. So I'm going to play the videos of people who ask questions about all things Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Also have a kind of a funding issue that somebody asked about. This is also a live Q&A. So we're going to answer a whole bunch of questions on the live here. It looks like I already got a bunch of questions on PPOs and retirement and disability and survivor benefits and all the rest of it. Okay, so let's try to get to everything in the next hour. Okay, so disability. If you're on Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI or SSI. So let's focus on SSDI. SSI is the Supplemental Security Income. It's the welfare-based, needs-based program the Social Security administers. Everybody thinks SSI means Social Security Income. It doesn't. It may mean that to you, but SSI is a welfare-based program the Social Security Administration took over 51 years ago. Last year, they celebrated their 50th anniversary, I guess, since Social Security started administering SSI. So let's stick to SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. That's the one that you get based on what you paid into Social Security. Okay. All right. So people, if you're out there and you're on disability benefits, there's a few times in your life that you need to check to see if there's any more money out there waiting for you. And there's too many people that there is, but they don't know about it, or they're scared to get it for another reason. And I'll get into that in a little bit. All right. So you can start your, obviously the earliest you can start your disability benefits is, day one. But most people were talking about disability benefits are talking about, in their 30s, 40s, 50s, when they got an accident. I've got one of my video questions. This young man fell off a dump truck and he's receiving disability because of it. I'll show his video later. So if you're receiving just regular old disability benefits, here's what you need to do. When you turn 60 years old, you are eligible for a retirement benefit program. And that is called surviving spouse benefits, widower benefits. That is a retirement-based program. Social Security considers a retirement-based program because you have to age into it. You have to be at least 60 years old. There is an exception. If you're disabled, you can get it between 50 and 59. That's called the disabled widows benefits, but we'll not discuss that today. I've got a bunch of other videos on that one. So if you're on disability and you're turning 60 years old, here's what you have to do. For those people out there, if you were married to someone and that person passed away, if it was a divorce type situation, you had to be married to the person for 10 years. If you were married to the person when they passed, you just had to be married for 9 months. There's a couple of small exceptions there, but and then if that person's benefit is higher than yours, definitely check out those benefits. So that's at 60 years old. So you can. Here's why a lot of people don't want to get that extra money is because when you're on Social Security disability insurance, and you're under 65, you can still get Medicare after being on disability for 2 years. So after being on disability for 24 months, you're automatically eligible for Medicare Part A and Part B. So if you're 30 years old and you get on disability at 32, you're eligible for Medicare. A lot of people don't realize that. So here's why a lot of people say, okay, yeah, Ed, I know. I am on disability benefits and I know I can get surviving spouse benefits. I know I can get spouse benefits. I know I can get divorce spouse benefits. I know, independently entitled divorce. I know I can get all that extra money. It's an extra $100, $500, $1,000. I know I can get it. But because I'm under 65, if I get it, they're going to kick me off of Medicare. And my Medicare, my health insurance is too important. That's not correct. What happens is you continue to get your disability benefits. Let's say at 60. I'll go for the other ones at 62 and all the rest of it. I'll talk about that in a minute here. So if you're 60 years old and you are eligible for survivor benefits, then what happens, you will continue to get your disability. You'll continue to get your disability benefits. Let's say your disability benefits is $1,000 and you're eligible for $2,000 as a surviving spouse. You won't get $1,000 plus $2,000 for a total of $3,000. What you'll get is you'll continue to get your $1,000 plus $1,000 on top of it for a total of $2,000. One offsets the other. And here's the thing that why a lot of people don't do this, even though they may know about it. They say, well, that's fine. I'll get the other $1,000 a month, but because I'm now on surviving spouse benefits, I won't get my disability. My disability will be canceled and I'll be without health insurance until I turn 65. 100% incorrect. Because remember the offset. So that there's what disability benefits offset what you're going to receive from a spouse or divorced spouse or whatever, deceased spouse. Because you're still receiving disability, right? You're still receiving disability benefits, so your Medicare will continue. You're just going to add that extra benefits on top of it. So you're going to have three things. You're going to have a surviving spouse, divorced spouse, whatever, your disability benefits, and your Medicare will continue. Okay, that's important to know. And the same logic, the same idea applies when we're talking about spouse benefits, divorced spouse benefits, independently entitled divorce spouse benefits, whatever program you're eligible for. And I've got tons of videos about each one of those programs. And everybody knows, hopefully, that I also have my video, or excuse me, my website that details all of this. So you go to mygovexpert.com there, and disability benefits, it talks about all the disability benefits, the continuing reviews, benefit calculations, eligibility, and all the rest of it, but also has family benefits in terms of spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, independently entitled divorce spouse benefit, has all of that, frequently asked questions, all the rest of it. So make sure you check that out. All right, so you're 62, you're on disability. Here's what you have to do. You have to determine whether you're entitled to any of those other benefits as a spouse, divorced spouse, independently entitled divorced spouse. And same thing applies. You're going to continue to get your disability benefits, but you'll just add the other benefit on top. Again, you're not going to get both. You are going to get two checks, one from your disability and one from surviving spouse or divorced spouse. They put them in one, so it's still one check, but it's coming from two different programs. This is what Elon Musk started spouting, all that stupid stuff he did about, 20 million deceased people are, still getting benefits. No, they're not. They're just, they're just on the records, and Social Security doesn't have a, death certificate. So he was saying, oh, there's people getting, money on two different Social Security numbers. Yeah. Yes, young man from South Africa. That's how Social Security works. If you're eligible for benefits on your own record, you get a benefit from your own Social Security number. If you're also eligible for surviving spouse benefits, you get it from another Social Security number, or your spouse, you get it from that Social Security number. That's yes. Stick to your rockets and your electric cars. Don't talk about Social Security I don't talk about rockets. So stay out of Social Security, Elon Musk. And I guess he's gone now, but he's left some of his cohorts who, I guess, big balls, and he's now one of the people in charge of our Social Security. So there's that. Anyway, so you can continue to get your disability benefits and your spouse benefits, and you'll get those technically two checks, but it'll come in one check. But your Medicare will continue. So this is important. All right. And if you're not receiving disability benefits, if you're thinking about go ahead and file for disability benefits, then what you do is you can file for both. Rib-dib, it's called. Retirement benefits and disability benefits at the same time. So again, Social Security considers retirement all the other spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, independently entitled divorce spouse benefits, surviving. Those are considered retirement type benefits because you have to get them at a certain age. You can't get, surviving spouse benefits at 30. So it's not a disability. It's a retirement type program. You can start at 60. But the traditional retirement of what you're probably thinking about, retirement on your own record. No, you can't get both. You can't get retirement benefits and disability benefits. What will happen, I'll get back to filing both at the same time. But if you're on disability benefits and you start your disability benefits at 30 years old, when you hit your full retirement age, your disability benefits essentially cease. They don't cease, but they're just converted from disability benefits to retirement benefits. So here's another thing I see a lot of people out there that come into the live Q&A and they say, hey, I'm 68 years old or 78 years old or 88 years old or whatever the case may be, and I want to work, but I'm on disability. I say, no, stop right there. You're not on disability benefits. You might be disabled, but you're not on Social Security disability benefits. You are on regular retirement benefits. And because you are past your full retirement age, Social Security doesn't care how much you work. It's not going to affect your benefits negatively at all. Might increase your benefits, but it won't affect it negatively. So if you're past your full retirement age, there is no one in the country that is receiving disability benefits after their full retirement age. They have been converted to regular retirement benefits. And most people don't even know because the check stays the same, direct deposit and everything. But because they're not receiving disability, they think they can't work because, they think they're still receiving disability. And they think, oh, I've got all these limitations because I'm on disability. No, you don't. Do whatever you want. And they're freaking out about, oh, when am I going to get the next CDR, the continuing disability review? You're never going to get it because you're not on disability. So a lot of people missing on that. Someone just mentioned that I became disabled at 76. Someone just popped up a little thing there. Where did the little thing go? But anyway, I said they became disabled at 76. You cannot file for the same logic applies. You cannot file for disability benefits after your full retirement age because there is no such thing as disability after your full retirement age. It's retirement benefits. You may be disabled, but Social Security is not going to give you disability after your full retirement age. There is an exception. If you're like, let's say your full retirement age is 67 and you apply at 67 for disability benefits, they're not going to start your benefits at 67. But if you say, okay, I'm filing now, but I was actually disabled. I became disabled last year when I was 66 or 2 years ago. Then they can start your benefits, but, once you're 67 hits, then, or you're 66 in 8 months or whatever, then it ends. Okay, one last thing, or actually two more things. Rib-dib. You can file for retirement benefits and disability benefits at the same time. Why would anybody do that? Because disability claims take forever to get you a decision, right? So, when I was taking disability claims, back then, a few years ago, we used to tell people you'll get your decision in about 6 to 9 months. Well, sometime 3 to 6 months. Now, recently, before Doge and everybody came in, it was about 6 to 9 months. And now that Doge fired a whole bunch of people, vacated a whole bunch of people from the premises, all bets are off. So if you're, let's say, 62, 63, 64 years old, and you want to go ahead and you're thinking, well, should I file for retirement benefits or should I file for disability benefits because I can't work and I'm not working substantially? My disability prevents me from working. Here's what you do. You file for both. It's called a Rib-dib. You call them up and say, I want to file for Rib-dib. And they're like, did you learn? All right, who taught you that? Who are you talking to? And it's basically RIB is retirement insurance benefits, DIB is disability insurance benefits. So you said, I want to do a Rib-dib. And why would you do that? You're not going to get both, but you're going to get the higher benefit amount. So while you're waiting months and months and months and months to get your disability decision, the letter, you need money. So people file for the retirement benefits early, start getting that check while they're waiting for their disability benefits. And while you're waiting for your disability benefits to be decided, then I would recommend you call your politician on a weekly basis and say, I'm still waiting. I'm coming up with a new website, I think it's more than a website, it's a platform that we're gonna take action and we're just wait. It's gonna be awesome. So anyway, So make sure you subscribe, like, and share. And yeah, I'm not going to give an ETA on it. I did it last time with my website, and I was way, way off. So anyway, but if you, any MERN programmers out there, MERN, that want to volunteer some time, I need MERN developers. So contact me. You got any sons or daughters or something that don't know what MERN is. So anyway, so it's a programming language. Anyway, so you file for the retirement benefits, you start getting your check, and then 6 months, 9 months, whatever later, your disability claim is approved, then it's usually a higher benefit, depending on how many months you got your retirement benefits. The months you got your retirement benefits counts against you, but at least, you know, you got money to survive. Okay, so you can file for both at the same time. And then the last thing I want to talk about is SSI. If you're on SSI, the supplemental security income, you can, actually you have to, you're obligated to file for retirement benefits when you turn 62. You're obligated to file. When you're on SSI, if you have any other benefits out there, you are 100% obligated to file for those benefits, because SSI is a, you know, it comes out of the general taxation revenue. So Congress mandates you, if you're on that needs-based program and you got some other money out there sitting around, retirement benefits, surviving spouse benefits, or an inheritance, $1 million inheritance, you have to take it because you're on SSI, supplemental security income. All right, I think I went through everything. And I guess one final thing on those disability, again, long story short, you're on disability at 60, check to see if you're also entitled to survivor benefits. When you're 62, check to see if you're entitled to spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, and independently entitled divorce spouse benefits. And then when you turn 65, most places you can only get a Medicare Advantage plan. In most states, you can only get a Medicare Advantage plan. When you turn 65, they can't deny you, can't do health underwriting, can't charge you extra. So if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan, which most people on disability are because that's the only thing they can get, once you turn 65, you get whatever you want. So at least check it out. I always recommend a Medicare Supplement Plan N or a Plan G. I like N's because I'm a little cheap like that. But anyway, N or G, whichever. If you're on disability, probably G is probably better. More options and stuff. But what is that? You can call Chapter. There's the people that sponsor our live Q&A, which I'm about to start here, and they can walk you through the entire process. So again, so if you're on SSI, you have to file for anything you're eligible for. And then, so 60 years old, survivor, 62, any type of spouse benefits, 65, check to see if, you know, Medicare supplement is best for you. And then 67, you're no longer on disability, do whatever you want. Social Security doesn't care. No more CDRs, none of that garbage. Go on with your life, be free, enjoy it. So, all right, let's get into some questions. Got tons of questions. Lester, I'm 64 and have health care and retirement and on my current job. What do I do for when I turn 65, and do I need Medicare? So you, the retirement thing doesn't, you still have to get Medicare if all you have is health insurance from a retirement plan, because a retirement health insurance is not considered creditable coverage. But your current work, if you have health insurance from your current work, current employment, yours or your spouse's, then that is creditable coverage. So you don't have to get Medicare, and your employer has to have 20 or more employees. So if you're happy with it, doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, it doesn't have crazy deductibles and co-insurance and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of people that even though they have health insurance from current work and they don't have to sign up for Medicare, they still do because their plan from work is not that great. Or, you know, it's a husband and, you know, wife type situation, and, you know, they're paying way, way, way too much for it. Save money on a Medicare plan. So definitely check it out. You can call Chapter and they can help you out and see whether your plan is considered creditable and give you all your options. Why is retirement Social Security, which we all pay into since the 30s, also says pays SSI and SSDI? X is Social Security. So if your X gets 4,000, your X gets 4,000, who paid for that? You did. Yeah. So SSI, like I said, it was taken over. It was used to be a state welfare. Each state was doing different type of welfare needs-based programs, and the government took it over in 1974. SSDI was added earlier than that. So yeah, Social Security disability has been around for a long, long time as well. But original retirement, yeah, the Social Security Act of 1935 under FDR. So that is the system that we decided. Can a DAC person receive their parent's SSA when the parent dies? That you're already a DAC. That is the nature of what a DAC benefit is. Disabled adult child is a adult disabled child that is receiving benefits from their parent's record. And when that parent is still out there alive and kicking, then I have to use different language for some of my platforms. It'll kick me off. So sorry for the Shakespearean reference there. But anyway, I don't know, it's mortal coil, I think, for Shakespeare. But anyway, but when that person passes, you go from 50% of their full benefit amount to up to 75% of their full benefit amount. And why do I say up to? If there's 3 disabled adult child benefits, there's a maximum that could be paid out on in a record. But if there's only 1 child, then yeah, 1 or 2, you get 50 or 75% of that person's full benefit amount. So how do you file for disability when you are a small business owner? Same type of situation. Yeah, you just go ahead and file for it. But if you're a small business owner, there's a couple of things on disability. As a small business owner, hopefully you paid your FICA taxes, your Social Security and your Medicare taxes. Because if you didn't, it's just like, car insurance. It's like, okay, I've got car insurance with company X and I get into a car accident and then I go to company Y and try to get my money to fix my car. Wait a second, you're not part of our program. Why, same thing on Social Security. If you don't pay into it, then you're not going to get it. And with disability, there's 2 types of pay into it that is important. There is the regular, 10 years, 40 quarters. So if you've paid into Social Security 10 years, then you're insured for disability benefits, retirement benefits, spouse benefits for your surviving spouse and all the rest of it. But disability also has what's called currently insured. Currently insured. So that means you had to work 5 out of the last 10 years. Because Congress, again, Social Security only does what Congress says. So Congress, and usually what Congress says is, they just write, 2 lines and they expect Social Security to figure it out. And that's why they blame Social Security. And it's like, well, you told us to implement this giant program with only 2 sentences. What do you expect? And if you wrote the laws like a human being, like an intelligent 4-year-old, then we wouldn't have to do these interpreted. But anyway, I digress. So Congress says if how they wrote it is, let's say you worked in your 20s and you worked 10 years in your 20s. So you're insured. And then you go on vacation for the next 40 years, 30 or 40 years, right? And then you show up at, the Social Security office at 50 years old and say, oh, I became disabled, hang gliding in Puerto Rico. I can no longer work. And they're like, you haven't worked in the last 30 years. So that's kind of the idea. So you have to work 5 out of the last 10 years. So if you're a small business owner, if you paid into Social Security, you're insured. Perfect. But you also have to be currently insured. And then the 5 years things, that's a little calculation that it doesn't have to be 5 consecutive years. Social Security employees, you just call them up and say, hey, what's my DLI? And again, they'll say, okay, who you been talking to? So this community gets all the inside information. So they can't mess us over because, anytime you start throwing out those acronyms and those secret policies like that, they're like, okay, this person, is this guy a plant? Is this gal a plant? Is she, is she wearing a wire or something? And she, so a DLI, date last insured, that's the date that 5 out of the last 10 years ends. So you just call and they'll run it through the computer system. And they'll tell you if you're insured, whether you're insured, fully insured, or currently insured. So that's how they call it, insured or currently insured. No one can tell me why I had to wait 6 months for benefits to begin. I had 0 income for 6 months. For disability, if that's what we're talking about, probably means, yeah, there's a 5-month waiting period. So nobody gets paid for the first full calendar months. So as soon as you said 6 months, you didn't get paid, That's it. It's been the policy for forever, since day one. So, and there was actually a bill in Congress to end that. So if you're eligible for disability benefits and, you know, you don't have to wait the 5 months. But yeah. Let me show my little thing. Yeah. So there's a bill in Congress. You know what a bill in Congress means, right? So Schoolhouse Rock, it means nothing until it goes through the whole process and everything. So unfortunately, yeah, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. The big beautiful bill, actually, you know, they're going to, you know, we're looking at cuts in Social Security here. The big beautiful bill, $6,000 tax credit is only for retired folks over 65 only. Yeah. And it's only tax deduction. So it's basically, the whole thing about no tax on Social Security and stuff. If most people, about 50% of people don't even pay taxes on Social Security, and they were supporting it. And it's like, why? It's only going to help, the higher wage earners, and it's going to cut your benefits, more and sooner. So that's why I'm coming up with a new platform, so we become more aware of what we're getting into and how we can maybe fix this. So yeah, it's basically a tax deduction. So if you make $100,000 a year in income, then they're only going to consider that you made $96,000 or $94,000 a year. So, Lisa, I'm 63 and on SSDI. What is my retirement age? If you're 63, then probably 67. So, and people always ask another question to people on disability. I'm on disability. I'm coming up to 62. Should I go ahead and file for retirement benefits? And I'm like, why? If you want to get off disability, I mean, really get off, cancel disability completely, and then, you're going to be losing your you're definitely going to lose your Medicare there, because you're canceling your disability benefits to get a reduced retirement benefit. So it makes no sense. In my decades of working in Social Security, I've never ever seen anybody switch from disability to retirement benefits voluntarily like that. Again, you are switched at full retirement age, but yeah. What Medicare plan is there to cover skilled nursing facilities? Most time skilled, it really depends. Nursing homes, skilled nursing facilities, there's a lot of terminology change. If you're looking for a Medicare plan, call a chapter, call someone you know and trust that helps with Medicare insurance plans, Part D, Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplement plans, and they'll look at particular plans in your area and see exactly what's covered. I really appreciate listening to and understanding the difference in benefits I have claimed. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate it. And now, since you are part of our community, you have applied all of this information to your particular life. Now it's your job to go out there and change the world. All those people around you, the lady that works at the local, diner and the gas station, and all those people out there, small talk and stuff. Oh yeah. Oh, did you know you can get disability and survivor benefits and this, and it's not going to hurt your Medicare. So let's go out there and help some people. Yeah. Because Social Security, they're cutting back the staff and they ain't picking up the phones. And I don't know about you, but I ain't talking to no AI. Mary Beavers, once you're retirement age, SSDI is not an option. That is a fact. Except for that one exception that, if your disability began before you retire, your full retirement age. Shannon, oh please, if you could answer my question from earlier in the feed. Sorry, it's not on topic. That's my specialty, is going off on tangents and off topic. It's an hour, it's an hour every day. So I'm so confused as to what to do. They don't answer phone, and okay, so yeah, I just see your question to ask your question, but I don't see your question. Sorry, and I've got hundreds of questions that popped up to the screen, and sorry, it's just little old me. Bella, I also have most of us retire have it. It's pretty good. I live in Florida too. Florida has many disadvantage plans. Yes, yeah, a lot of people call it Medicare Advantage plan, disadvantage plans. But actually, Florida has like the best Medicare Advantage plans as compared to other states, because there's just, there's so much competition in Florida. So there's a few retirees in Florida. Yeah. Just a few. I'm 61 and I don't have a job yet. When I turn 62, would it be smart to take my Social Security? It is 100% your decision of when you start Social Security benefits. Nobody can tell you should start this date, whatever the case may be. You just have to ask yourself a bunch of questions. You go onto my website, mygovexpert.com there, click on the retirement, go down there when to start, and it gives you a cool little calculator, and it asks you, these are the questions kind of you should ask yourself. So do you need the money? If you need the money, slam dunk, start your benefits. But you're talking early retirement, so there's a limit to amount of money you can earn. So this year is $23,400. And I got a video question. Actually, let's go ahead and move into some video questions here, because somebody had a question about working and when that starts and everything. Oops, I got to learn how to do my screens there.
You get $20,000.
Hey, Dr. Ed, my name's David. I have a question about my Social Security benefits. I'm 64. I have decided to take my Social Security early because I need the money. I'm moving from Hawaii back to the mainland, and I won't be making as much money as I do here. So my question is, I know I'm only allowed to make a certain amount per year. I think it's like 20,500. Does that start after I start taking my benefits, or does it start like for the year, how much money I've been taking in? I am going to have a job, but I'm going to try to limit it to keep it under that figure. Can I do it that way, or do I need to do something else?
Okay, great. From Hawaii. So yeah, living back on the mainland, it's not going to get paid as much, but you're not going to pay $10 for a gallon of milk like you can. I was stationed at the Camp Smith, Hawaii, in Kaneohe Bay. So anyway, swimming with the hammerhead sharks. So you're 64 years old, it starts when you start your benefits. So let's say you're going to start your benefits in August, and you're currently working, from January till July. You can make $1 billion from January till July. Social Security doesn't care. You walk in and they say, how much are you going to make this year? You're going to say, oh, total this year, about $1 billion. And they, oh, wow, that's pretty awesome. Okay. When do you want to start your benefits? August. Okay, I want to start my benefit. Okay, you're going to start your benefits in August. Starting in August, are you still going to make $1 billion every month or whatever? No. Starting in August, I'm going to stay under $1,950 a month. And for the rest of the year, I'm going to stay under $1,950. There you go. Okay, cool. We'll start your benefits in August. They don't care what you made before. So no relevance to what you made before. It's called the monthly earnings limit. And then next year, then you have to continue with you don't get a monthly earnings limit twice. You only get it once. There is a small exception that doesn't really apply in most situations. But anyway, but you only get that once. So the next year you have to stay under the annual earnings limit, the 23,400 or whatever it is the following year. So that's how that works. Social Security, the first year you start your benefits, they only care about how much you're going to make going forward.
Hi, Dr. Weir. Thank you for all that you're doing. I wanted to ask a question. My husband is going to be 66 on August 2nd. His date of birth is August 2nd, 1959. I used your calculator, and it says that he's good till receive full benefits. He's still working. And so I wanted to know, what's the earliest that he can actually take that benefit without being hit with the $3 for every dollar, I think it is. I know that I was told by another friend that's same age that they can actually start applying for their benefit in October, so that they start receiving it in November because they want to exceed that. Is that so? Can you please let me know? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, same type of situation. Yeah. Weird little thing on Social Security. Social Security considers you to obtain the age the day before. So if he was born on August 2nd, he turned 66 or whatever the day before. So he is that age the entire month, even though you're like, wait a second, no, he's not. He's not, 66 the entire month of August, because 61 on August 1st, he was that, he wasn't 60, he didn't turn 66 yet. But Social Security considers you obtaining that age the day before. So yeah, it's kind of a weird fluke. So he is eligible for benefits starting, August, regardless. If he wants to file, then it takes about 3 months. And yes, the thing that you talked about, October to November, everybody gets their check a month in arrears. So the August check comes in, September. The September check comes in October. It always pays it, a month later. But the same situation applies. What she mentioned, the 1 for 3, is the year you turn your full retirement age. So if your full retirement age is, let's say, August, again, if you turn 67 or 66 in 10 months or whatever, your full retirement age is in August, then from January till July, it's not the $23,400 anymore for the year. It's $62,160. So if you go over that amount, again, it's, if you start your benefits, starting August, doesn't matter. So the year you turn your it's all complicated. The year you turn your full retirement age, it's not $23,400 anymore. It's $62,160. And it's not $1 for every $2. It's $1 for every $3. So the best way to figure it out, if you're confused, which a lot of people are in that case, this, that, and the other, just call Social Security, set up an appointment, and then run the numbers and say, okay, if I start my benefits this time, what? And if I start my benefits that time, if I wait a year, how much is going to be? And that's their job, is to do that. Unfortunately, it's going to take forever because politicians refuse to support, your ability to get your benefits, but there's that. And then at that time, if you say, oh, okay, well, all right, sounds like I should wait, then perfect. The Social Security employee is not going to, they better not. You report them if they do. If they kind of pressure you to, you should file now, then, if they say that, then, but if they, oh, it's a good idea for you to file now. But if you don't want to file, then 99.9% of the time, they're like, oh, okay, perfect, awesome. It's not like there's, they lost the sale. That means they don't have to take your case back to their desk with the other 400 cases they have to work on. So they answered all your questions and you decided to wait for a year, and they're like, bye. Now I've got 400 other cases so I can go back and work on, so I don't have to add years to the stack. So they are very appreciative of the fact that you didn't make any work for them.
Hello, Dr. Ed. This is Brad Whaley. 2 questions. One is, I am 67, so I'm now fully eligible for my Social Security. My wife is 62. So in the event I wait to claim my Social Security until 70 to get a higher return, and something were to happen to me between 67 and 70, and I weren't filed for Social Security, would she be able to get spousal support afterwards, or would that prohibit that? The second question is,
let me answer that one first. So if you are going to delay getting your Social Security benefits until your full retirement age, or 68, 69, 70, it doesn't matter. Then if something happens to you, let's say if you're not receiving your benefits because you're going to wait till 70, but then something happens at 68, then your surviving spouse can file for benefits, and he or she will get your delayed retirement credits, not up until 70, but the day for the month you passed. So she'll get, if you're 67, and you pass at 68, that's 1 year. So she'll get 8%. She'll get 8% the delayed retirement credits added to her record. And again, if she's her full retirement age, then she'll receive 100% of the benefit. If not, then obviously anytime you file early from Social Security, it's always reduced. So, but if you wait till 70 and then something happens, then she'll get all the delayed retirement credits, all the 24% delayed retirement credits.
we are the guardians of our granddaughter, the court-appointed guardians of our granddaughter. So she's not an adopted child, and she's not a biological child. She's our granddaughter, but we are the guardians. Would she get child benefits if something were to happen to me as well. Thank you so much. We enjoy your show, and your website is awesome too. And it did answer many of my questions.
Awesome. And you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till the new one comes out. People are going to be freaked out. It's unbelievable. So yeah, it's a lot of community feedback. So anyway, and wow, we're going to need so much community help. Okay, I digress again. Unfortunately, for grandchildren, Congress should really change the law on this. There's too many people out there that are, taking care of their grandchildren. In order for grandchildren to receive benefits, you have to adopt them, or the parents have to be deceased or disabled. So it doesn't sound possibly like those you didn't adopt. And if the parents are deceased or disabled, then grandchildren could get benefits. You have to provide half support and all that kind of good stuff. But so if the parents are deceased or disabled, file, and then Social Security employee, the claim specialist, will determine the half support and all the other regulations and all the rest of this stuff. So apply. All right, let's see. I think we got a few more questions here. Got somebody that's shy.
Hi, just a quick question. My wife is older than me. Should she start her Social Security? Hers will be less than mine, and eventually when I start my Social Security later, she can apply for a spousal Social Security. Will her applying now, at age 64, almost 65, she'll get a reduction in Social Security from what her full retirement at 67 would be. But will that affect her in any penalties if she starts now taking her Social Security and then later take spousal Social Security when I apply in 2 or 3, 4 years?
Okay, good question. And this is a complicated one. A lot of people mess up. I see a lot of people out there doing social media, talking about Social Security. It's usually Medicare insurance agents that pretend they know Social Security because they took a 2-day class online. And they've got a cute little certificate that says, I'm an expert. And they get this wrong all the time. Okay, so if you file for spouse benefits early, then your benefits could be reduced. Let's say you're going to eligible for $1,000 at your full retirement age, but you start your benefits at 62. So you're going to get 30% reduction, $700. Okay. And then later on, you file, the spouse files for benefits. So let's say the person is eligible for, let's say, $2,000. Okay. So they don't receive $2,000 and, the $700, so for $2,700. So they receive half of the benefit. So if, let's say she's eligible for the $2,000, and I've got a calculator on my website, and so it makes it a little bit easier to understand. So if the person is eligible, let's say that yours is $4,000, and so she's eligible for $2,000 total from your record, which is not the case, but it's easy math. So $2,000. And so you're saying, okay, well, that means I'm eligible for $1,300 because I received my $700 plus another, the difference. So of $1,300. No. Because what Social Security does, and this is what a lot of social media, Social Security so-called experts mess up, is they don't offset what you're currently receiving. They offset your full benefit amount. So they don't say, okay, you're eligible for $2,000. You're receiving $700. So here's another $1,300 check. No, they say you're eligible for $2,000. And if you would have waited, you would have received $1,000. And that's what we're going to use. The fact that you took it early, that's on you. But you're eligible for $2,000. So we're going to say that you are receiving $1,000 even though you took it early. So it's only going to be $1,000 extra. So you'll receive $1,000 plus the $700. So yeah, it gets kind of complicated. So, but if she waits till her full retirement age and collects her full benefit amount, then she'll get, that full benefit amount. And then when you file, she'll get that full benefit amount as well. And some people say, well, so it's going to be reduced. But you're also going to get those checks. She's going to get those checks for an extra year or 2 years or whatever the case may be. So Yeah, the calculations, again, on that particular case, you go to my website and it has a calculator on the spouse, on the family one. So you can go in there and run the calculations. You'll need to know both PIAs, the primary insurance amount, and it'll give you a calculator. Or again, as everything Social Security, this is what Social Security is supposed, the Social Security employees, the Social Security offices, this is their job. This is what they're supposed to do since 1935, is help you navigate the system and make sure you're getting everything you're eligible and everything you need. But Congress, for the last many decades, wants to prevent that because they want you to hate Social Security and, you know, talk about going bankrupt, which I talked about a couple of days ago, is not the fact. Your checks are going to get cut, but it's not going to go bankrupt. And they want you to hate Social Security, be on the phone for hours, giving wrong information, you know, wait months and months and months, all the rest of it. And that is by design. You can look at my YouTube description. You can see the playbook that was written in the 1980s. They want you to hate Social Security, and that way they can come in later on their white nights when it's, you know, critical mass and say, hey, we've got a solution. Let's give it to our buddies on Wall Street. And you'll say, yeah, they're doing it. Social Security is doing a terrible job anyway. So yeah, okay, let's go ahead and do it that way. And that was their plan all along. But we are smarter than them.
Hello, Dr. Weir. My name's Keith, and I have a question regarding my disability. I've been on disability for 2022, and then in 2023, I tried a trial work period to about a month and a half. Fell off a dump truck, broke my hip, and now I'm going to get a lump sum settlement. Will I get a benefit reduction or an offset on this lump sum settlement if I don't word the language correctly when I do the paperwork, or my attorneys do the paperwork?
Okay, so for a settlement, so the trial work period, you're on disability, you're allowed 9 months to work as much as you want. That's why it's called a trial work period, and it doesn't affect your Social Security negatively. It sounds like you did 2 months, so you got 7 months left. But the issue, it sounds like, is your settlement. The only time something like that affects your Social Security benefits is if it is a workers' comp, a state workers' comp, public disability, but it sounds like it's possibly a private company or something. That doesn't affect your Social Security benefits at all. Only if it's a workers' comp. If it's a workers' comp, states, you know, county, city workers' comp, public type disability thing, then it does affect your Social Security. If it's a private one, a private, you know, health insurance or life insurance or, you know, disability insurance from a private company, it doesn't affect your Social Security at all. Unless you receive an SSI, which is the welfare-based program, you know, because any money you got coming in when you're on a needs-based program, and if you also get a settlement for, you know, $30,000, then yeah, you no longer are in need. So, but it sounds like you're just on regular disability benefits. So you should be good if that's the type of settlement.
Yes, my question is, what is the best plan to get with Medicaid? If the senior advantages, Medicare advantages are not the best, what is the best combination that I will be covered? Thank you.
Okay, so if you're on Medicaid, that's pretty much all you can get is a Medicare Advantage plan. You can't, it's illegal for them to sign you up for a Medicare supplement, a Plan N or a Plan G. So your only option is a Medicare Advantage plan if you want that extra coverage. So in order to get the Medicare Advantage, you also have to be on Medicare on Part A and Part B. So sounds like you're dual eligible. So you're on Medicaid and Medicare. Perfect. Millions of people are on both. A lot of people don't realize that. Hopefully you're in the upper levels of Medicaid where they're actually paying for your Part B premium, the $185. If not, then reach out to them and say, hey, why aren't you paying my $185? and you have to be on the upper levels of Medicaid to get that. And call your politicians and make sure they don't start switching stuff around. And yeah, a lot of people are going to lose a lot of benefits. But anyway, yeah, a Medicare Advantage, if you're on the upper levels of Medicaid and Medicare, or you have Medicare, there is no upper levels of Medicare, but anyway, then you're eligible for a Medicare Advantage dual eligible plan. And those are the ones that, have a lot of extra benefits and, the really good, grocery cards. It really depends where you live. So you can reach out to our partners at Chapter there and say, hey, I am in this zip code. I have Medicare and Medicaid, and what's the best plan for me? So, and they can find the best plan for you. And if you just decide to stick with just Medicare and Medicaid, then more power to you.
Hi, Dr. Ed. I just saw on Meet the Press, and I think it was Governor Barrasso of Wyoming, and he claims there's still 1.2 million illegals on Medicaid. And actually, he said that it was the states that are doing this to get more, defrauding Medicaid to get more state money for their states through this by signing up illegals. I don't understand how that can happen because Medicaid has to okay it, right? So, and I'm thinking, well, why blame the people that are on Medicaid? Why don't they just go after the states? Anyway, that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, politicians out there distracting us and from the real problems. So typical. All right, so in order to get Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, retirement, disability, you have to jump through the hoops. Everybody that's done it knows. You have to prove your age, and if it's a Medicaid or SSI, your income, low resources and stuff. But you also have to prove that you're in this country legally, either a U.S. citizen or a green card. And I worked for Medicaid before I worked for Social Security Administration. They run through the whole thing. It's a system that if you show a green card, then the states have to check to make sure it's actually still a valid green card and everything. And Social Security does the same thing. It's called a SAVE system that they check with immigration. Yeah, it's politicians. And yes, there are some states that provide, like California and some other states, provide health care to people that are working and they're living in their state that, that are not documented. But that's comes out of state funds. California, and I think their Governor Newsom is actually talking about scaling some of that back because of the budget issues. But that's not Medicaid money. The only time people that are not in the country legally can get Medicaid type benefits is if it's an emergency type situation and they go into a hospital after a car accident or, and the doctors, if it's a life-threatening type thing, they're supposed to take care of you. That's what doctors are supposed to do. So they don't ask you, oh, okay, well, do you have your green card with you? Do you have your passport with you? Let me go ahead and run through the system while you're bleeding out on the table. So obviously they fix you. And then if it turns out afterwards that you don't have Medicaid or any other health insurance, then the hospitals get stuck with that bill. And the federal government has decided, okay, in those particular situations, we'll go ahead and cover it because a lot of hospitals are going to have a hard time, with anything, or with any, not only people that are undocumented, it's people with any type of, health insurance and stuff. Then states, the government often comes out there and helps those hospitals. So, and yeah, it was again Elon Musk providing all this incorrect information, and I've told Elon Musk if he wants to talk about Social Security, I'd be more than happy to have him on the channel, and we'll discuss Social Security. I'm not talking about rockets because I'm staying in my wheelhouse. But if he wants to, be the Social Security expert, come on, let's talk. And he recently, actually, in his ex Twitter post, he actually admitted, without saying he was wrong, he actually admitted that he was wrong, but he didn't really say he was wrong. He said, "Oh, these people are saying this. This is all," and he didn't go back and have self-reflection and say, oh, okay, I was one of the people that was saying it too. So it's interesting. Come on. If you made a mistake, just own up to it, come on. But he was saying, oh, there's millions of non-citizens receiving Social Security cards. And yes, there are millions of non-citizens receiving Social Security cards. There are people that come, you know, got a green card. They come over here to work, or they go into school, or they marry an American, and then they, you know, come over here. And there's a couple of guys that did in the same exact situation. The guy's name is Elon Musk. And what is the Gracias is the other guy that was up on stage with him saying, you know, his family's from Spain via, or yeah, I think, yeah, anyway, from Spain. And they came over as non-citizens, and you know, that's kind of what you do, come over as non-citizens and got a Social Security number. So I'm just like, oh, this is, I wasn't even looking for this. And look what I found. There's millions of people, they're non-citizens receiving Social Security cards. I'm like, yeah, like your family. There's nothing wrong with that. If they come over legally, they get a Social Security number. So it's amazing the misdirection out there, but yeah, we're smarter in that, right? All right, I haven't worked in a long time and I'm about to turn 62. Can I get my Social Security? Yeah, the working recently is only for disability benefits. If you're gonna just go ahead and file for retirement benefits on your own record, yeah, it doesn't matter whether you've been working recently. Social Security determines your benefit amount by your high 35 years of earnings. So, and you're like, but I didn't work 35 years. No problem. Yeah, they'll just, you know, if you only got 30 years of earnings, then they'll calculate that 30 years plus, unfortunately, then they're going to take 5 years of zeros. Yeah, if you turn 62, then if you need that money, file for that money. And remember, you're not stuck. If you file for benefits at 62 years old because you haven't worked, you're not able to work, whatever the case may be. If you're not able to work, make sure you file for disability at the same time too. But if you file at 62 for regular retirement benefits, and then after however many months or years or something, you know, before your full retirement age, you say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I'd really like to go back to work, but I'm getting Social Security. No, you can go back to work. If it's within 12 months, you can withdraw your application like it never happened. You have to pay that money back, but you can withdraw it like it never happened, and, you know, go do your work or whatever. So even if you're not working, you can withdraw it, you know, within 12 months. After that, if you find a job and it's going to be over the annual earnings limit, you know, substantially, then you call up Social Security and say, hey, you know, I'm 63. I started my benefits at 62, but I found a job and I'm going to be making $50,000 a year. So what they'll do is they'll stop a certain amount of benefits, $1 for every $2 you go over. So you're not completely stuck in terms of, oh, I already filed for retirement, so I guess I'm stuck. I can't do anything. A lot of people out there are suffering, making it hard for them to live because they just don't know what they can and can't do. So I get, let's see, double C, I get SSI and have a mental disorder. I'm up for review in November, which will get a CDR or a function report. I need to know so I can be prepared. Sorry if you already answered this question, my computer. Yeah, no problem. What I tell people in this situation is FCF. Forget about it. Because even if you're up in November, you might not get it because it's completely budget driven. Congress provides Social Security a special allocation for those CDRs, those continuing disability reviews. And even if you're up in November, if the local Social Security office doesn't have the money to do it, they ain't going to do it. So you just stress yourself out for, you know, months for nothing. So why? So forget about it. If you actually get it, then complete it. And then copies and complete, CC. And then go onto my website, disability there, mygovexpert.com, click on the Social Security, click on the disability thingy, go down and continuing reviews. And it tells you everything. Here's some frequently asked questions about continuing reviews. There are a lot of people have questions about continuing reviews, so there's a bunch of answers to those questions. So definitely check those out. And then once you send it in, forget about it again. There's the FCF. Forget about it, copy, complete it, forget about it. Because even if you send it in, again, it's a budget issue. You send it in, you know, they needed, they had money to do 100, and yours was the 101st that they got. They got no more money to do yours, so they're not going to do it. So you send it in, and then you're worried, oh my gosh, I wonder if they're going to cancel me. I wonder if they're going to do this. I wonder if they're going to do that. They're not doing anything because they ain't got no money. So Yeah, Social Security, that's one thing they do a really, really good job in this particular case is they really do a good job freaking people out on CDRs, about CDRs. So don't. So, I'm 75, have Social Security for years. I was told I could not get disability and Social Security. Did something change? Yeah, if you're in 75, yeah, that is correct. So nobody is receiving disability after the age, after their full retirement age. So, and if you missed the first part, what YouTube does is this live, it goes up on my YouTube channel and you just click Dr. Ed, you just Google Dr. Ed Weir if you're watching this on another platform or mygovexpert.com or mygovexpert, and it'll show my YouTube page and you'll see the little tabs there. It's a video and then the live. The live is where I have the daily lives. So I've got over 1,300 videos up there now. And we're about to reach, I think, 70 million views. So I appreciate y'all. Yeah, this is what is, supporting this website and this new unbelievably revolutionary website. I'm going to say it, revolutionary website that we're building. So anything y'all can do, I've got, I just stuck Amazon affiliate link in the description. So somebody check that out, see if it works. You know, buy some cat litter or something like that. I just want to see if it works. So, well, it doesn't cost you anything extra. But it supports this. It supports everything we're doing here. Will Social Security be counted towards the income level to receive tax benefits? No. Good question. Yeah. Only earned income counts. And then again, I think I've got that. So working in benefits, and I've got a little calculator there. So you click on the retirement part, you click on this purple one, the working in benefits, and then you click on the little calculate your benefits, and it tells you on there what counts and what doesn't count. So government benefits is income that doesn't count, investments, pensions, IRA distributions, veteran benefits. It's only, pay from actually working or, net profit from self-employment. So we are at an hour, and that is it. And it looks like we've got some new members, subscribers, and so yeah, please let's get as many people subscribed as possible. So this way, this is how we teach these stupid social media algorithms, YouTube and TikTok and all that kind of stuff. That's how we teach them, these computers, that this is important stuff, is y'all like and subscribe and do all that kind of stuff. So it gets out to more people and more people get the benefits they need. So you're paying it forward. So simple little click, 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 and you're done. So I appreciate y'all. Please, 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 please take